Hello friends, how are you doing? My name is Aisling, you're very welcome here, and today as ever I am here to talk about books. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a book haul. Full disclosure, I don't want to do too many book hauls ever because I don't want to promote overspending on books and this idea that we have to keep buying books to be readers. I am a huge advocate for my library, for secondhand book shopping, for borrowing books from friends, from family, and from using my e-reader and getting good deals on that as well. So I don't want to go around saying, oh, if you're going to be a reader you got to buy loads of books, because I do not think that's the case at all, and not all of us have that kind of money anyway. Books are expensive, right? But it was my birthday recently and I was gifted a few books by my family and by my lovely partner Sean, and I'm really excited about literally every one of them. So I'm just going to chat to you kind of quickly about each of them. Let's get into it. The first one that I received was one that I asked for. So this is Jade War, and it is the second book in the Greenbone saga. So my mum bought me this. Now she didn't know about it, I did have to request it, but she was very good to buy it for me. And I read the first book in this trilogy maybe a month or two ago, probably about 2 months ago now. So that was Jade City. So this is the second book in that trilogy, and I have had it on the holds list in my library for so long and it just didn't seem to be coming. When asked if there was anything in particular that I wanted for my birthday, of course this came to mind, and we found it in a bookshop locally, which also I hadn't been able to find it anywhere, funnily enough, and then there it was that one day. So feeling a bit blessed. But as I said anyway, this is the second book in the Greenbone trilogy. So we are on an island called Kekon, and we follow two kind of warring families in the one city. They are both vying for power over this city. They have a long history of essentially hating each other. But the fun thing about this is that on this island they can mine, harvest and use an element called jade, and jade essentially makes warriors out of normal people. It increases speed, it increases strength, it increases like lots of different abilities, and it's the kind of thing that only certain people can actually wield. So it is quite dangerous to your average Joe, and so we get some fun fight scenes in this series because of the added fun of Jade. So we have, as I said, the two warring families, and there's a lot of political intrigue, there's a lot of great characterization, the world building is fantastic. I am just so excited to get back into this trilogy. I cannot tell you, I just found it to be a breath of fresh air. I think I heard recently actually that Fonda Lee herself, the author, actually has a black belt in some kind of martial art. I can't actually remember which one. Excuse me for that half-assed fact there. I also got a snippet of information from my partner Sean this evening in that Fonda Lee is actually writing a series of short stories based in this world, so that's really exciting as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to getting into Jade War. As I said, I requested that book from my mum, but I also asked for another book in the bookshop, which she so kindly offered to buy for me. I'm actually checking now because I got two books in the one trilogy and I can't remember which one comes first. Yes, my first guess was right. So my mum got me the second book in the trilogy, and unbeknownst to me, my partner had already bought that too, but then he found out that I had gotten the second one from my mum, so he went and returned it, and now I have the last two books in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobbs. So I read Assassin's Apprentice, which is the first book in this trilogy, last month. I just didn't know what I was going to make of it because people were kind of saying like, oh, it's really slow, just stick with it, you know, it's a great, like, it's so good, don't worry, it picks up. I loved it. We follow our main character Fitz, who is the illegitimate son of our king in waiting. He is left at the keep where the king and the king's sons lives. His dad's name is Chivalry, and Chivalry is quite shamed by the fact that he has an illegitimate son, and himself and his wife end up moving away. So Fitz is raised by the people that work in the keep around the castle, and he is raised with a lot of animals, and we find out quite quickly that he has a real connection with the animals in the keep. He builds this great connection with this dog called Nosy in the beginning, and what we find out is that he has this ability, I think it was called the wit, where he can go beyond a normal connection with animals, and he can lean into them and feel their experiences, and they can feel his experiences, and he can communicate with them, not telepathically, but it feels kind of that way. And I just found that was great. I am a real animal lover myself, so I just loved that aspect of it. It's so much more domestic than I thought it was going to be. It's really set in around this keep, and also in the city in which this keep is located. There is magic in this, and the magic is great, but it's a lot more subdued than I was expecting from such a highly lauded high fantasy series. It almost felt like historical fiction in parts, which was amazing. I love historical fiction, but it was also fantasy, and the world building is fantastic. The characters and the relationships are great. I love the animals. I loved the storyline. It got really interesting. Like, everyone was saying, like, stick with it, it's really slow, but I mean, from the beginning I just loved it. And I will say it also broke my heart in parts, like absolutely. So these two books, Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, are much chunkier than the first book, which maybe before now I would have been very intimidated by, but actually I'm so excited for both of these books. So that's those. My partner also got me 3 other books, 2 of which I had never actually heard of. So one of these is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, and it is a series. I believe there are 4 books if I'm not mistaken. I actually don't really know a whole lot about it, so excuse me if I just read you the blurb and call it there. So Emperor Mappadere was the first to unite the island kingdoms of Dara under a single banner, but now the emperor is on his deathbed. His people are exhausted by his vast conscriptive engineering projects, and his councillors conspire only for their own gain. Even the gods themselves are restless. A wily, charismatic bandit and the vengeance-sworn son of a deposed duke cross paths as they each lead their own rebellion against the emperor's brutal regime. Together they will journey to the heart of the empire, witnessing the clash of armies, fleets of silk-draped airships, magical books and shape-shifting gods. Their unlikely friendship will drastically change the balance of power in Dara, but at what price? The Grace of Kings is a debut novel by Hugo, Nebula and World Fantasy Award winner Ken Liu, and the first in the monumental epic fantasy series The Dandelion Dynasty. That's what the series of books is called, The Dandelion Dynasty. And this book cover is absolutely beautiful, but I don't know if you can see this on the back, but kind of on the bottom, the books, when they're all lined up, they kind of make an interlinking picture, and I'm a sucker for a lovely cover. So I literally hadn't heard of this. I kind of maybe recognized the name, but it hadn't really stood out to me or anything. But my partner and I have very similar tastes in books, so I love when he buys me books out of the blue because he knows what I like, which is great, and I'm very excited to get around to it. The next book now I had heard of, and I was really excited. It is Sam for the Well Built by Becky Chambers, and this is a monk and robot book, and on the front it's blurbed by Martha Wells, and it says it is an optimistic vision of a lush, beautiful world. I hear this is quite cozy and quite lovely and really small. Maybe the rest of the series mightn't be as good as the first one, but the first one is, oh my god, like, it seems to be very well loved, and it seems to be quite cozy as well. So I'll just read you the blurb really quickly. So, it's been centuries since the robots of Panga gained self-awareness and laid down their tools. Centuries since they wandered en masse into the wilderness, never to be seen again. Centuries since they faded into myth and urban legend. One day, the life of a tea monk is upended by the arrival of a robot, there to honour the old premise of checking in. The robot has one question: what do people need? But the answer to that question depends on who you ask and how. They're going to need to ask it a lot. That's literally what I know. I know monk, robot, cute, small, can't wait. This book is a self-published book, and I had kind of heard of the name of it, and when I took it out of my little gift bag, I was like, That sounds familiar, but I know nothing about it. Oh, it's actually really heavy. Like the paper quality is really good. It is The Sword of Craigen, and it is by M.L. Wang, and I literally don't know what this book is about. I know that it's a fantasy. I know very little else about it. It's blurbs on the back as being the Poppy War's darkness meets the last airbender's elemental magic. I haven't been so emotionally moved by a book in a long while. So that was JC Kang. A lovely little booktuber called Patrick Leo said it's one of the most intense books that he has ever read. Since receiving this as a gift and since becoming more aware of it, I have all of a sudden seen like so many people in my Goodreads giving it 5 stars, like a lot, which is impressive. And people that wouldn't maybe normally give books 5 stars. So I'm not even going to read the blurb on this, and not just because the blurb is really long, but also because I feel like I really want to go into this blind. So if you have read this, let me know what you think of it. I'm really excited to get around to it, and I believe it's part of a series as well, the Theonite War story. Oh no, that's it. It is not part of a series, it's set in the same world. So the Theonite world. Those are my 6 books. I actually want to give a special mention to another little book that is not a book that I received in the post from my lovely friend in Germany, Katie. And it's called A Book to Wear, and I haven't read this particular book. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, but it's a little pin. And it's of The Metamorphoses by Kafka. And as I said, I haven't read this book, but I might actually go out and maybe try to get it on my Kindle or something. I don't know if this book is for me necessarily, but I don't want to go around wearing a pin that is of a book that I have never even bothered to read. But isn't it so cute? Look at that. So the company that she bought it from, or the artist that she bought it from, was somebody named Judy Kaufman, Kaufmann. And I just love that. I think it's so cute, and I might have a look to see what other pins are available on her website. I'm a devil for a pin. I love a good pin. Also apparently love a good fantasy book. I made my last video, which was a TBR video for August, before I had received these books, and I just feel like maybe just ignore that TBR, will ya? Because I'm not so sure about it now. I have some other books that I'm really excited to get to. Also, I have 8 holds coming in at the same time from the library, so really goodbye TBR. Why did I even bother? Let me know if you've read any of these books. What are you reading yourself? How have you been doing? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know how life is, how reading is going for you. Honestly, I will say I haven't actually been reading all that much this week. I feel like I've been reading Percy Jackson for 84 years because for my birthday I kind of like to set a little intention for myself every year, and for years, I've been saying I was going to learn to crochet, and I did, and I have, and I decided I was going to make a blanket, so it's my first ever project, and I don't have it with me at the moment. But let me tell you, I have just been balls deep in that project all week, and
or doing anything else, I've been just about washing myself. It's going really well, I'm really excited about it, and that's the kind of person I am. I like to just really go hard when it comes to a little hobby, so I'm really enjoying that.
I'd really like to get back into reading as well. So that's that for me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have, don't forget to hit that like button, maybe give me an old subscribe. Take care of yourself, mind yourself, and I hope to talk to you very, very soon. Bye bye.